Welcome to The Brief and our series on startups out of the pod. In today's episode, we'll be talking to Shreyasi Singh, co founder and CEO at Harappa Education. If any of you are following the EdTech space in India, you will know that this startup, which is barely about a year old, has rapidly gained momentum in the market. So, what is it that Harappa is doing right? Or is it simply a reflection of the potential that is there in the Indian EdTech space? Or for that matter, has the lockdown resulted in a bigger consumer market? Shreyasi shares the details. Listen on to find out. Hi, Shreyasi. It's wonderful to have you with us here today. Welcome to our series Out of the Pod. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well as one can do at this moment.
Okay, so I have to start with this. Harappa Education. I mean, the name is brilliant, it's catchy. Personally, I love it. But there must be a background story to this.
Thank you. Thank you for that. This is my favorite question ever because I love the name too. Of course, there is. I think there is. I certainly believe there is great power in names. I always urge entrepreneurs to think of what they want to name their companies very carefully. And finally, when I became an entrepreneur, it was really sort of an opportunity to give the company a name that would be inspiring as well as be like the strong emotional anchor. And I think, the three reasons why we named the company Harappa. One was sort of we were, much like the old Harappa was a pioneering civilization, we hope for our Harappa to be a pioneering force at the where education is concerned. Second, there were three attributes of the old Harappan civilization that we wanted to co-opt as attributes for our Harappa. One was this element of excellence. Even now, that civilization is evocative of its excellence in many things, albeit in sanitation and urban planning. But we wanted to capture that element of excellence. Second, there was the attribute of sort of this foundational, timeless wisdom, right? That, has continued to be carried forward. That's how we think about the skills that we offer at Harappa, the cognitive, social, and emotional skills we feel like, are foundational for a person to have. And third was this element of being planned, and I think that of planning, and that we extend to hopefully our curriculum and our courses, giving our learners an ability to plan their professional growth and personal success. So I think those were the sort of broadly the reasons why we chose the name Harappa. And one very important one that I've missed out is, in online, if you're in English language online learning product, markets beyond India are more easily accessible to you, of course, by the nature of the medium that you're in. But we were very certain that even if we were to go global, as they say, the name would suggest the cultural fabric from where the company has originated, and we felt like Harappa captured that spirit as well.
And when you all look to start in the education space, was e-learning was it on the agenda right from the beginning, or is it an idea that you all kind of pivoted to?
Oh, no, 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 absolutely. I think from the genesis of Harappa is to be an online learning institution, as we call it, and I'll tell you why that has happened. As you would know, my co-founder in the business is Pramad Sinha, who is obviously a pioneering higher educationist in this country, and essentially we came together because he was very keen to do something in online learning. He's obviously been associated with some very high quality private institutions in the country, all offline, all very niche and all very pedigreed. And I think he understood the limitations of that, even across all of these institutions that he has set up, you're an alumnus of one. He set up the intake of the students is still a tiny number compared to what one can do in India. And technology and going online was one way to do it. I think secondly, I was one of those people who would say I would never become an entrepreneur. And when finally sort of this journey converged into Pramod and I starting the company together, I was very clear that if I did become an entrepreneur, it would be something that could have considerable impact and considerable scale. And I think then for sure, being led by technology and online was a very, very important consideration. So and actually that was a difficult DNA for us. I think whether it's Pramath, who has spent all of his higher education experience has been in offline. I've had a limited experience in working in higher education also offline. So I think we really pushed ourselves to develop the digital DNA, because really in our what we had was one for the offline higher education world, but we're very, very focused for it to be an online first institution.
So tell me, what was it like getting your first customer? I mean, I'm sure when you started off as most startups, it's been what, just 2 years now, and you'll have rapidly scaled up. But if you kind of had to tell me about your first customer, from the challenges that you'll faced at that point to the value proposition that you'll were offering.
Sure. So it's actually not even been two. I think we've been working on the idea for 2.5 years, but really we went live to the world only in April of 2019. So in fact, we will sort of, that is on April 15th last year. So we will be 1 year old to the world in the next 7, 8 days. You're right. It's obviously very, very exciting when you first get a customer. I think there were two institutions that became our first customers. One was a top 10 engineering institution in the country, and the other was this boutique law firm in Delhi. One of them did our establishing trust course, and the other one, the top 10 engineering institution, is something that I'm certainly very proud of, because we started speaking with them even before we had sort of gone live. And while they really appreciated our curriculum stance on building on these cognitive, social, and behavioral skills, as we call our curriculum focus, they were very skeptical of online. And I think they just took a bet on us and said, okay, fine, try it. And then actually that we've got some very encouraging successes from that institution felt great, actually. And I think even with the other law firm, that we got really strong learner feedback from it was very encouraging. And at that time we were just trying to see that, wow, will the product even work? Can somebody start a course, do all the assessments that we have in it, generate their insights, complete a course, unlock a certificate? Even that, you're not really sure if what's going to get broken and what won't work. And second, a very important question as a learning institution was, even if they finish, are they going to learn something that they find value in? And then will they remember that learning? And I think with both these cohorts, I think we got encouraging early signs that both the product was working, as well as if actually somebody completed the course, they would have learned something of value that they would remember.
And since you mentioned that it's going to be a year, congratulations in advance for completing an anniversary. But you all have been doing phenomenally well. So you have to tell me this. What is the secret sauce? What is it that you all have been doing that has pretty much taken the space by storm?
Thank you, but yeah, I mean, of course, it feels great to hear, but I don't know what phenomenally well means. But it's, I think, what's the secret sauce? I think two or three things. I think why someone like you think we're doing phenomenally well is certainly an element of getting a brand language and brand tonality right. I think that's what you have experienced, and several people say what you're saying. So, you're not off in your perception. And I mean, of course, we feel great about that. And I think this is something that I would encourage all founders and entrepreneurs to focus on, that you need to get your message across in a way that's authentic, that's fresh, that feels like it has a refreshing perspective. I think a lot of our seeming, and I'm using, sort of my hands to do a double quote, seeming early success is really the way that the brand has communicated. I think that's one. I think the other reason why people could consider that we're phenomenally successful is, I think we've really brought together and also a almost unprecedented peerless group of faculty who are senior professionals, as well as well regarded academics, and I think that gives us a lot of credibility and power. I think the third thing is the frictionless experience that we're able to provide to the learner on the platform. I think because of that, we've been getting some learner enthusiasm, which again feels like we're doing phenomenally well. But even all the early partners we've got on the campus institutional side or the corporate organizational side, I essentially I essentially credit our brand communications, whether it's strategy, flair, whatever it is. One, to be that. Second is the sort of the academic expertise, credibility from the faculty. And third, really, this frictionless experience that we get. Another reason, I guess, people could feel we're phenomenally successful is the investment round that we closed earlier this year, which, it was very early for us to have been able to get a support of someone like Lupa Systems and James Murdoch. And that feels obviously wonderful, and we feel very supported by them even at a time like this to go ahead and build what we have to and be able to stomach the vagaries that the world shows you. So I think maybe those are the reasons people think we are successful. And the secret sauces, all of this sounds sort of cliched. I think we genuinely believe in what we're doing. I think I can put a hand on my heart and sell a Harappa course to anyone, because I know that anyone who does a Harappa course will benefit. Maybe you'll benefit a little bit more than I would. Your friend would benefit a little less. But would they benefit? Can they improve? I can truly sort of do that. I think second, also at the age and stage at which Pramath and I have come together to do this, I think we have deep personal conviction in what we're doing, right? I think that's very important. I think when you have that, you you hopefully stay focused, and teams around you feel inspired, and you're having fun because you know why you're doing this. You've thought about this very deliberately. I think that shows through.
You're very right when you mention that how your brand is positioned and how it comes out from a communication point of view. Me being at a consumption side of it, I definitely resonate that. And then, of course, you'll have the numbers to back it up. So this approach, this strategy that y'all have been following over the past 1 year, especially in the last couple of months with the pandemic, with the slowdown, did y'all stick to your guns and plow through this, or did y'all make alterations to capitalize on the situation?
So I think, and more recently, I think let's take the last 3 weeks, right, where the world has changed so much around us. Of course, I don't think we are. I don't think we are going to change our product in any meaningful way. So if that means sort of staying true to sticking to our guns or our approach, yes, I think we've actually felt very validated that our product is timeless, much like I was talking about when Harappa, the inspiration from the word Harappa, that these are skills you need at any time, and really anything can happen in the world, but it's not like the need for these skills will go down. I think we have responded in 2 or 3 ways which we might not have done if this wasn't upon us. One is, we've been, most of our content otherwise has been what they call in online learning as asynchronous, right? That there is self-paced, learner-paced learning, that, you activate a course today, and over the next couple of months, you can keep learning at your own pace. We didn't have too many live elements for interaction or for whatever else on our product. I think we really upped that with the webinars that we're doing, which have seen tremendous success, and we've been very heartened. And I don't think we took that call 2.5, 3 weeks back because we said, oh wow, let's build a great product feature. I think we said, wow, there is so much happening in the world right now. And as a learning institution, what do I have that I can offer the world and my learners and potential learners that might be necessary and meaningful for them at this time? And so much of our curriculum around behavioral skills and cognitive skills is really what we need to self govern through times of crisis, right? And we have access to some amazing faculty on topics like grit and resilience and growth mindset and personal leadership. And we said, listen, let's air that. Let more people get access to that, and really to be a relevant, useful institution in the time of crisis. So I think that is one way in which we've responded. And yes, now we're thinking about including many more live elements, because we've seen the success of webinars and the richness of interaction that we've been able to get very quickly on that. I think second, if we were to see our on our campus institutions, we know that we can't solve the problems of helping faculty become better online facilitators themselves, because that's not the focus of our curriculum approach at all. But we said, listen, this is an important community for us, so we're thinking deeply about what have we learned as an online learning institution, putting together an online learning product that we can share with educators, in India, around the world, who's struggling to make this transition. We don't have a full product on that, but again, this is something that we would like to do. The third thing I think we've done is we've not stopped creating. And I think as a CEO, if that's the one thing I'm proudest of right now, is over the last 3 weeks actually. And when we've sort of overnight all of us working from home, I feel like we've done more and we've created more. So whether it's podcasts, whether it's webinars, whether it's giving again our embracing change course for free and doing an outreach for things like that, I think we become a bit more bold. I think when sort of you're so many dangers staring at your face, you're like, hey, I need to confront this by sort of daring greatly and not really by receding. And I think that is something, that's the stance we have taken to this. And just hope that we are useful with some of our content when people need some help to navigate such just this crazy, unprecedented change that we're all living through.
This is very true. What you mentioned, especially at the end, is that I personally feel also is that the pandemic is acting as a change agent. It's influencing businesses to rethink how they were getting about operational processes, how they deployed and used human capital. And I mean, for the past 10 odd years, past decade, especially the latter half of the past decade, the world has been going digital, to so say. But I think with this current situation, it's pretty much catapulted all of us into that space. And even businesses earlier who believe themselves to be the nature that never required digital are now forced to adapt to it. So, like I said, I personally feel that this is also an opportunity for innovation, for disruption, and pretty much across sectors. So, in the edtech space, given the fact that the work that you are doing, I think it's really in the right direction there. And as much as we know that the current situation is grim, the near future looks difficult, there is hopefully and probably a silver lining in the making. But to prepare for this post pandemic world, the kind of courses that you all are offering, a future world that might be more tech savvy and virtually connected, upskilling might be required, and pretty much across functions. So, as a closing note, if you had to share, let's say, one insight, one takeaway for our listeners, what would it be?
Learn to learn. I think that's going to be really important, whether it's not learn to learn content on something, but learn to learn different styles, like just the different styles of management, different styles of working, different meanings of productivity. I think that would be my one tip. Is there's just so much interesting material out there. We have a course, if any one of your listeners are interested on learning to learn. I think that one. Second, each one of us has to develop a growth mindset, because really things are going to change in small ways. I don't think this kind of change happens, whatever, but I think some things will fundamentally change as all of us have experienced this together. And I think just we have to embrace change, as we say. I think I would pick those two. If I had to tell a younger professional or anyone, even sort of mid-career senior professionals, have to change is even harder for them to develop, or that change muscle is even tougher, is to say how do you learn new things and new ways of being, and how do you develop what is called a growth mindset.
That's very true. And I personally agree with that, especially because I truly believe that there is no age limit when it comes to learning, right?
Absolutely not.
So, Shreyasi, thank you so much for your time today. It was wonderful talking to you. Our best wishes are with you all, and I'm sure that the great work that you all are doing, especially the webinars, keep coming because I know for a fact I sign up. So, looking forward to a lot more from those.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me, and I hope this is a useful conversation for your listeners to tune into. All the best.